I'm here once again to give you the skinny on today's Steam front page deals and some recommendations from myself, Amata. Today is, of course, none other than the 25th of November, and we are here with another banner day. Lots of good deals on Steam. However, there are some deals that are better on other websites, and I'll kind of mention them at the end. Regardless, let's get kicked off as we have quite a few games to get through. First off is the Tomb Raider franchise. A series that needs no introduction. Now, we do actually have a pretty nice deal on the most recent game in this franchise, which of course is Rise of the Tomb Raider. It's 50% off, making it £19.99. Quite a good deal for a game that hasn't really been out terribly long in the grand scheme of things. We've also got Tomb Raider 2013 for £3.74, and if you haven't played that game, absolutely buy it at that price. It's absolutely fantastic, such a good game. Next up, we've got Tomb Raider Underworld, which is £1.74. Oh, by the way, Tomb Raider is 75% off, whereas Rise is 50% off. So, Underworld is 75% off, £1.74, as is Anniversary, same price and percentage, and the same for Legend. Tomb Raider 6, Angel of Darkness is £1.24 at 75% off, same for Chronicles, and Last Revelation, and Tomb Raider 3, as well as Tomb Raider 2, and Tomb Raider 1. We also have Lara Croft and the Temple of Osiris, which is 75% off, making it £3.74. And we have Lara Croft and the Guardian of Light at 75% off, making it £1.99. We also have the Lara Croft Collection, which includes almost every Tomb Raider game ever released for the PC, which is 41 items. This pack is pretty expensive for the Steam sale, but it is 72% off, making it £35.05. So, to be honest, if you're missing more than a couple of these games, but you want Rise of the Tomb Raider as well, you're basically getting almost the entire Tomb Raider collection for the price that you normally pay for Rise by itself, which is a crazy good deal. That pack is normally worth over £100. Personally, I would say that if you haven't played 2013's Tomb Raider, which I'm sure most of you watching have, but still I would highly recommend it. Rise of the Tomb Raider I haven't actually played yet, but I've heard nothing but good things, and that is a pretty good deal for a game that only came out in January. However, with all that said, we've got a next franchise on our list today, and it is F1. First off, we have the F1 game franchise bundle, which has F1 2010, 2011, 2012, F1 Race Stars, F1 2015, 2014, and 2016 for 65% off at £49.94. Again, that's worth about £142, so while it is a pretty hefty reduction, that is a pretty wallet-stinging price, even if you do get quite a bit there. However, we have F1 2016 by itself for 33% off, making it £26.79. F1 2015, however, is 70% off, making it £11.99 rather. So if you're interested in racing games, but you don't really want to fork out for the most recent, then the last year's iteration is not too bad. 2014 is also 70% off at £5.99. F1 2012, on the other hand, is £3.74 at 75% off. 2011 is £2.49. F1 2010 is £1.74, and F1 Race Stars is £2.74. Now, as I said many times, I'm not really into racing games unless their name is Burnout, so I can't really comment on the enjoyability of this franchise. Not sure if that's a word, but now it is. So I'd say check out reviews and all that good stuff, but they do seem to be reviewed fairly well most of the time. Moving away from franchises for the moment, we have Call of Duty Infinite Warfare. To say this was a divisive when it was first revealed is a little understating the issue, as the reveal trailer was probably one of the most disliked game trailers ever, if not the most disliked game trailer ever. However, from what I've heard, the campaign is really, really good, whereas the multiplayer is just more of the same. I haven't actually played this yet myself, I've just been far too busy, to be honest, to be playing Call of Duty, but I've heard a lot of praise for the campaign and not so much praise for the multiplayer. At the moment, it does have mixed reviews on Steam, so if you're a long-standing Call of Duty fan, I would say perhaps tread with caution on this one. Check out reviews, gameplay and such. Apparently, people on PC are having trouble finding games on multiplayer. A lot of the negative reviews are about issues finding a match, so do keep that in mind, as you might have issues with the multiplayer component, which for many people is the whole point of Call of Duty, so just take that as a warning that finding a match doesn't seem to be terribly easy at the moment. However, given that this game just came out fairly recently, we've got a pretty nice reduction here at 33% off, making it £26.79, We've also got the Legacy Edition, which comes with Modern Warfare Remastered, which is 25% off, making it £44.99. Yes, that whole full price is £60, which is ouch. I know it's 2 games, but still. And we've also got the Infinite Warfare Digital Deluxe Edition, which comes with those 2 games and the Season Pass for Infinite Warfare, and that's it's 20% off, making it £63.99. I'd say this is a pretty nice deal considering it's not really been out that long, but as I said, do tread with caution as people are having trouble finding games from the reports that I can see. However, from a primarily multiplayer focused game to a primarily single player focused game, as we have on our list, Metal Gear Solid 5 The Phantom Pain. Now the weird thing here is that the base game isn't actually reduced, but the definitive experience, which comes with a bunch of DLC, which is costumes and other stuff, is 35% off, making it £16.24. So not the best reduction on the planet, to be honest. And unfortunately, the costume pack and the other costume pack aren't reduced. So if you already own the base game, they're not reduced at all. And if you do want to get this game, it does seem to be smart to get the definitive experience, as it has a bunch of stuff extra as well. Now, while this game got some criticism for its ending, or rather lack thereof, this is still regarded as one of the best single-player games of 2015 and a fine swan song to the Metal Gear franchise from Hideo Kojima. It is pretty well regarded on PC, overwhelmingly positive recently and very positive as well, and there's not been any performance issues that I am aware of, at least recently. So, with that said, let's move on from that very well-known game to another in the form of Doom. Doom does not really need much explanation. It is amazing. Now, people might have seen my multiplayer beta video that I did back in the day, and, well, my opinions were harsh, to say the least. The multiplayer beta did not impress me. It was really not a good look for the game. I did not enjoy it at all, so I was a little smidge concerned about the single-player campaign. However, when the game came out back in May, it absolutely blew me away. The gameplay is absolutely just spot on, balls out, silly, old school shooter fun. You move at the land speed record, and you've got a wide variety of interesting guns shooting enemies in the face. You've got a lot of exploration to find upgrades for your suit, that sort of thing, and of course little collectibles and other such things. It looks pretty, it plays amazingly, it runs really, really well. If you like old school shooters, if you like Doom, this is a great game reduced to a silly good price. You would be silly not to buy this game this cheap if you're at all interested, as it is £13.19 at 67% off. What can I say? I recommend Doom heartily. Now, another thing to mention is that quite a few of the games mentioned are also on sale on Green Man Gaming. Now, I'm not affiliated or sponsored or whatever by them or anything like that. This is just mentioning it just because, to save you guys some money. And there also is an extra 10% on top of that as well. So I'd say if you're interested in buying any of these games, do check out the deals on Green Man Gaming as well, because while they might be the same price, you can shave off an extra 10% if you so desire, or not. You know, you do get Steam codes, I know that for a fact, but some people of course just prefer to stay within Steam, which is fair enough. So with that all said, let's move on to the next game. We're staying on the shooter theme for a second with Rainbow Six Siege. Now, I haven't actually played this game because, well, apart from Overwatch, I don't really play multiplayer-only games, or first-person shooters, should I say. But I've heard a ton of good things about Rainbow Six. It has a very positive reviews across the board, the gameplay looks fun, and it was a real surprise hit for many people. This is a game that does things really, really differently. It is very different and unique, and it stands on its own in a sea of very competitive shooters. You know, the shooter market, especially now, is very crowded, but Rainbow Six is doing really well for itself in terms of the amount of players, the amount of praise it's getting, and the gameplay just seems to be a breath of fresh air for those who are looking for something a little bit different, but still looking for something tactical, still looking for a good first-person shooter experience where you can just jump in with your friends or play with randoms. As for the deals we have on offer, it's actually pretty decent, given that the game came out, well, it's about a year old now, but still, it's 50% off, making it £4.99, or you can get the Gold Edition, which it comes with the Season Pass for £27.49, or you can get the Rainbow Six Bundle, which comes with Rainbow Six Vegas, Vegas 2, Rainbow Six Lockdown, Rainbow Six 3, and Rainbow Six Siege for 62% off, making it £21.40. The Season Pass itself, if you already own the base game, is reduced by itself, 50% off, making it £9.99, and the Safari Bundle DLC is basically free at £1.99. Now, as I said, I haven't played this one myself. I'm purely basing this off what I've heard, but I've heard nothing but good things. So again, do check out gameplay and reviews and videos from your favourite YouTubers or Twitch streamers and see what you think. But all in all, people seem to really enjoy the shooter from Ubisoft. So let's move away from shooters for a second with Dying Light the Following Enhanced Edition. Now, this is basically the reworked version of Dying Light. It has a new legend system, improved graphics, gameplay enhancements, plus it comes with a bunch of bonus content that came out between the original game's release and this version's release. So you do get quite a lot of content for your money here, and it is 50% off, making it £19.99. You pretty much know what you're getting with Dying Light. It is a whole sort of parkour, zombies, crafting, smash bang wahey experience. And obviously you're getting, as I said, improved visuals and all that good stuff as well. It does seem to be reviewed quite well. Personally, I am sick to the back teeth of zombies, so I haven't played this one. But it does seem to be a pretty good game that is kind of what a lot of people wanted out of Dead Island in many ways. But again, do check out reviews and all that good stuff. So with all that said, let's move on to Mafia 3. Now, this game I have actually covered a little bit on my channel here, or our channel should I say. And to be honest, I was disappointed. I'm disappointed so far. From what I've heard, that disappointment is kind of a theme. Now, this game hasn't really been out all that long, and it's already 30% off at £24.49, or you can get the digital deluxe for 35% off, making it £34.44. Now, this is a sort of crime sandbox like your GTA, and it's a really promising setting. You know, you've got a town that's basically New Orleans, a setting that's, 1968. You play as a black guy, so obviously there's a theme of like dealing with racism and some really interesting characters, and it had the potential to be a really interesting story, but the gameplay is just so stock standard, so uninspired, and it does, from what I've heard, it really forces you to do the side quests to continue the main missions, and those side quests are just, not great. And I've experienced some of this myself, but I'm saying I've heard because, I was hoping maybe it would improve as the game went on, but it seems to be not the case, and reviews are mixed on Steam. So I'd say avoid this one at this price. Maybe when it's a much cheaper, it might be worth a go, but at this price, I would say just don't until it's cheaper. With that said, let's move on to a better game, and that is Middle-earth: Shadow of Mordor. Now, this is another sandbox game, but it's a much smaller sandbox, a much more controlled sandbox, and is, of course, a Middle-earth, Lord of the Rings game, and it has the sort of Arkham system of fighting, which, sounds like, oh, really? But it actually does it quite well. A lot of the games that try to rip off the Arkham system don't really approach how well it's done by Rocksteady, but this is one of the few games that actually does. So the combat's actually interesting, the world is interesting, but one of the more interesting mechanics in the game, and yes, I said interesting like 50 times in the space of 5 minutes, but regardless, one of the more interesting mechanics in the game is the Nemesis system, where you can actually have grudges with the enemies and sort of like that. So let's say you try and kill a guy, but he actually kills you, or whatever. He'll actually remember you the next time you go to see him and say something like, oh, you're not got enough of being killed by me yet, or something like that. And you can also get involved in their sort of power struggle. So, you can kill one guy to take him out of power and another guy replace him, and really kind of get involved with the ecosystem of their world, and have them remember you, and have the conflicts actually have meaning, and kind of create your own story. It is absolutely worth a try. It is 50% off, making it £7.99. Or if you already have the game, but you don't have the Game of the Year edition, which has the DLC and all that good stuff, you can upgrade to it for £6.99. That's not reduced, that is just the base cost, so do keep that in mind. However, this game for £8 is an absolute steal, and I would heartily recommend it. So let's move on, shall we, to a less exciting game, a more relaxing game in the form of Euro Truck Simulator 2. Unsurprisingly, given my distaste most of the time for driving games that aren't Burnout, this game isn't really up my alley, but it is very positively reviewed, and it is a very chill game from what I've seen. You get in your big truck, you drive around Europe, you run your own trucking company, you just get to drive around the routes and look at the countryside and just maybe listen to a podcast and just kind of relax and be like... It is £3.74 at 75% off, so if you ever wanted to sort of take the plunge and give one of these games a try, that is a very cheap price, and if you end up not liking it, you haven't really lost the whole amount. Again, check out gameplay and stuff, because this sort of series just isn't my thing at all, but I can see the appeal of it just being really chill, just to drive around the countryside, deliver packages, run your trucking company, and just relax and unwind. So, we have a game that I absolutely loved to finish things off for the main page games today, and that is none other than Undertale. This game is insanely popular, and for good reason. It's so well written, and the characters are so memorable and so unique, and they each have their own personality despite there being no spoken words at all in the game. This is a truly unique game in not only its writing and characters, but the story and how it approaches gameplay mechanics. It really tackles a lot of the tropes within RPGs and challenges the idea of having to get all the content just because. This is overwhelmingly positively reviewed, and rightfully so. This game is 50% off, making it £3.49, and that is absolutely a price, I would say, to get this game for. This game is a very unique experience. Now, if you're worried about the bullet hell nature of the combat, that is quite challenging. I did have a bit of trouble because I'm not usually a bullet hell kind of gal, but it's not enough to deter me. It was still enjoyable gameplay wise, and the story was fantastic. You can also get the soundtrack bundle as well with the game, of course, for 50% off, making it £6.79, and the soundtrack is excellent. So if you're at all tempted, it is there, and the soundtrack is by itself reduced as well for £3.49. And I might actually pick that up because I do actually have the base game but not the soundtrack, and the soundtrack is really, really good. So that's it for the main page game, but let's very quickly go through some of the other games on sale. And if I think of any other recommendations that aren't here, of course, we'll mention them. But we have Pillars of Eternity, $13.99, and the Space Emperor Edition at $5.74, Forest Village at £15.19, Earth Defense Force 4.1 at £20.99, Worms franchise is up to 80% off, Day of Infamy is £11.24, the Grand Theft Auto franchise is up to 70% off, Cluster Truck is £8.24, Necropolis Brutal Edition is £11.49, Warhammer Vermintide is £11.49, Car Mechanic Simulator is £4.49, and Enter the Gungeon is £5.49. Out of those, I would recommend Enter the Gungeon. If you're at all interested in the Isaac style of game, you'll probably enjoy Gungeon. And one very quick last mention is that Her Story is £2.49, so if you're at all interested in taking the plunge on that narrative game, that is an incredibly cheap price. So that's me done for today. Some really good games. If I had to pick a game that is absolutely must buy, I would say Doom is probably my recommendation for today. I mean, Undertale is up there too, but I would say Doom has more sort of mass appeal. Oh, one last thing that I almost forgot is the Witcher franchise is also on sale. I almost forgot that, excuse me. Somehow didn't come up on my tabs there, but hey ho. Regardless, a really good price for Witcher 3 The Wild Hunt. It's 50% off at £12.49, and the expansions are all 25% off, making them £11.99 for Blood and Wine and £5.99 for Hearts of Stone. Witcher 2 is £2.24, Witcher 1 is £1.04, and Witcher the Adventure game is £1.74. That is an insanely good price for The Witcher 3, so if you're at all interested in that very good RPG, absolutely jump in for that price. Apologies for almost forgetting that one, but regardless, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.